Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? It's Life's a Drag. We haven't been on for a minute there,
Whoa!
Jason Galvin.
I almost forgot we did this show.
I know. It's been
We're
a
back.
hot minute, dude.
We're back. We're back in the biggest of ways.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. The 2 weeks off that we had between Norwalk and Denver, I kind of missed you. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that's sweet.
I was excited to get to Denver and see your shiny, happy face.
And then you bailed on me and we didn't even room together.
I know.
What a jerk.
Sorry. I know.
What a jerk.
I was like,
I get it, but what a jerk.
Yeah. I just, there's a point in time where I'm like, listen, I got to have my own room at some point in time. And it was just on principle alone, Jason. That has nothing to do with you. Principle alone. And we got to set a precedent at some point in time because we both have to have our own space every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got absolutely nothing to do with you trying to mount me in Las Vegas and then me telling the world about it.
No, I'm still shocked and horrified that happened, which I don't remember any of it.
So that's the best part, is that you have zero recollection.
You can tell me that there were Arab terrorists in there, and I would have been like, I joined some. I don't remember any of that.
All right. Only because you said Arab terrorists. Okay. The flyover Sunday. Okay?
Right. Which I have video of.
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
Okay. The second one, we've not actually talked about this at all, like any of us. Did the second one scare the bejesus out of all you guys on the starting line like it did the finish line?
I didn't hear the first one because a car burned out. The second one, I was like, and Alan drew attention to it, like, oh, those things. And I was like, oh, crap, there's a second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Amanda and I are at the top end, right? And there's no noise there, obviously. I mean, first off, it's probably like a solid 5 to 7 seconds for the noise of a burnout or of the cars leaving the starting line to reach the finish line anyways.
Right.
Up there on the mountain in thin air, and I don't know like how much people realize this, but in Denver specifically, the top end turnoff is probably 300 feet elevated from the starting line. I mean, like that's a trek uphill, right?
Yes.
I mean, literally, it's like 10 seconds from the time of a burnout. So we had no noise. None of us were looking that direction, and we had the inflatables in the way anyways. And I'm telling you, Amanda and I just about tackled each other when the first one came through. Because he came through afterburner screaming at like 200 feet above the ground. And it literally really almost caused everybody to have a heart attack.
That's so funny. This is the flyover that we were talking about.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched.
Yeah, so that was pretty high up. That was probably
that one was totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, see, I should have sent you the video. Here, let's see how quickly, if I send this to you, can you get video up on here?
I'm going to have to put it in iMovie and all that fun stuff.
All right. Never mind.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody in Seattle wants to see it because they missed it, hit me up. But yeah, the second one, I got the camera up for the final of the 3 planes. They came through one by one, like 10 seconds apart. And I mean, literally the safety safari, like guys who jump into burning race cars for a living were almost dying. Like it was literally wild. It was wild.
Yeah, because the second pass, they came screaming right above the tower.
Right. So, oops, we're fixing the camera there. All right. So I realized why one half of my room looked like I was in a dungeon. So this gets long-winded way to get back to you making an Arab terrorist joke. So I see the pilots after the race, right? We're all standing on the starting line. I thank them for what they do, all that stuff. And the flight commander who was directing the traffic down below, I told him, I said, man, you guys came across the second time. And we were like, what the hell's happening? Like, do we go to war? And he looked at me and he goes, that's the same thing terrorists think.
That's funny.
I was like, what? He goes, yeah, we fly across and they're like, oh, wow, that's big and loud. Oh, bleep.
Yeah.
Like, I said it's the same that we had on the top end was like, oh bleep, like the first one came across and I was like, I was having Red Dawn flashbacks, like we are in Denver, you know, like should I be looking at this
funny? But that's you know what that's one of my favorite parts. Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about Vegas on Fridays because they're doing maneuvers and you got F-35s, you got F-16s, you know, you got every plane that they got out there, and especially when they do the it's not Red Dawn, but Red Flag. When they do Red Flag, those things, and then they'll bring in all the you know, the German,
all the foreign planes. Yep.
Yeah, it's very cool. I love that stuff.
Very cool.
But yeah, so we haven't been on in a while. And by the way, I got to be honest with you, I needed a break after Norwalk.
That's why we took a couple weeks off, right? Because we were burnt after Norwalk.
Yeah, Norwalk was a long race weekend, and there's nothing to do there after except the races. Although we haven't talked about this, Jason Galvin got to go to Cedar Point.
I did,
and you got to hang out at Cedar Point for a long, long time. And Joe
literally
Costello
an entire day.
Yeah, Joe Costello. Jason's like, dude, you guys got to come out here. Park's not that busy. Just come on out. Let's have some fun. So Joe and I jump in the car around 4:00, getting ready to go out because the park didn't close till like 10:00. We'll ride rides. We'll have a good time. We couldn't get in the park because somebody had an accident right in front of the park and knocked down power lines, and nobody could get in or out. So you had an extended time in the park.
Yeah, I was like done by that point. You guys called, you're like, yeah, it's 2 hours to get in. And I'm like over it. And I went to leave and they were like, yeah, it's like 2 hours to get out. And I went, all right, what was my favorite ride? Let's go ride it 3 more times.
And I called the ticket office. I'm like, hey, how do I get in here? They're like, oh, there's a back way to come around. But that was stacked up, people trying to get in. And I was like, but I said to the lady, I go, listen, I'm just trying to give you my money. There's got to be a way to get in here. And I go, I live in Orlando, Florida. There's like 4,000 lanes and 1,400 other ways to get in this park because they know how to take my money and all of my money. And she was like, I know. I am so sorry. I can't even leave. She goes, I'm going to be here all night long. She goes, this happened once before, and we were here all night long. And I'm like, oh, God. Okay, sorry. But
it was wild. But I had a great time. I hadn't been to like a roller coaster. I lived an hour from Six Flags Magic Mountain in LA, and I grew up literally in the backyard. Some of my best memories as a kid were sitting on my dad's shoulders in the backyard, looking over the wall, watching the fireworks show. That's how close we were.
Right.
And to tell you that, like, been probably 10, 15 years since I got like a whole day at a theme park, like a roller coaster park. Like, we go to Disneyland, right? We got a 4-year-old. We go to Disneyland. We do that. Legoland, but like that to me, that was fun. But like, I made a ginormous rookie amateur mistake. Did I tell you this?
No.
I got in the park literally as it opened. I brought my backpack and my computer because I had work to do all day, and I got a locker because I come in the park open. It's East Coast time, and our company's on the West Coast, and nobody's up. And I'm like, all right, I got like 2 hours here where I can knock some stuff out. And was literally in line for when the park opened. I walk in, and so the first place I go is to the tallest, fastest ride they have there, thinking that the line's going to be awful all day, and it ended up getting to like 45 minutes at one point. And I waited to be in the front row. So I waited like 30 minutes, even though I literally walked in as the park open, right? When you haven't been on like a real roller coaster, like Tower of Terror at Disneyland and the Incredicoaster with one little loop are your roller
major
coaster thrill rides for the last 12 years. 350 feet with no shoulder harness in the front row was not the right call at 9:05 in the morning.
No.
I sat on the front row with this other guy who was like theme park fanatic and like goes to all these parks and knew everything about Magic Mountain and everything. And we're going up and I'm talking to him, and all of a sudden I just looked past him out over the lake and went, man, we're pretty high. And then I like an idiot, I made the mistake of doing this and looking right because I'm the right side. And I went, wow, And again, I like roller coasters. Heights don't generally freak me out, but what does freak me out is heights with like lack of restraint. Like if I would have had a shoulder, like that ride's just a lap bar, right? If I would have had a shoulder harness, it would have been totally fine. Not a worry in the world, right? But like the fact that I could literally look over and if I wanted to, like bend like this and like touch the bottom of the track.
No.
and then I looked, I'm like, man, we're way up here. And I looked back up and I went, oh, we weren't even halfway.
Oh my God.
Dude, we got to the top of the thing and I was like, man, I don't think I've been nauseous on a roller coaster a day in my life. And I was like queasy. Like I got to the top and I'm like, thank God we're here. So take it from Jason. If you haven't been on a roller coaster like a big one in a long, long time, don't go on the second tallest, second fastest roller coaster in the United States as your very first one in the front row at 9 o'clock in the morning, coming off of a red eye when you haven't eaten or slept. Terrible combination.
Yeah. You need to work up to those. And there's plenty of roller coasters to work up to.
There's like 100 of them there. Yeah. That was the best part. Like the next one I went and got on, I was like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we're good.
The rest of the day was a breeze.
That's so great. So so we did absolutely nothing in Norwalk. So there was really nothing else to talk about.
Literally, we're at the track till 2 a.m.
Yeah, that was it. And I got verbally assaulted like nobody's business there, so that was fun.
Because you play shitty music.
That's it. I'm like, you're the worst. I mean, literally, people yelling at me like, "Why play rock and roll?" I go, "Okay, that just all you gotta do is ask nice. I'll play whatever you want." Right. Or you can say, "Hey, is this really what you're gonna play all day?" I'm like, "Cool." I'll
yeah, Logan literally had a guy who wanted to fight him. Like
twice at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, and then there was some guy who was just off his rocker on Saturday. Don't you know what distortion? I go, brother, I get it, but I'm not the one controlling how loud this gets. Right. There's somebody else controlling it. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, breaking news for those of you fans out there, and for those of you who like watch our show and follow the sport, but you watch us on .tv. Jason Logan, there's a lot of times where it probably sounds like there's like downtime or you can faintly hear music in the background. Logan's playing music during all that time, but copyrights and streaming and stuff like that, right? So the one audio jack in the whole building that's not plugged into .tv or the Fox show for that matter is out of Jason's computer that just plays his music, right? His microphone goes through a different port, but like Jason's computer into the board that plays music is the one thing that doesn't get streamed out anywhere. Also, Jason has zero control over anything other than what songs play.
That's it. And my microphone, I get to turn it on and off.
From here, though, like if somebody else turns it off, too bad, right? Like like there's and at some tracks, last weekend's a great example. We have our audio people, of which we have multiple audio people who do different jobs for different companies working together to merge all this shit that we have. And then last weekend in Denver, or if you think back to Charlotte, like those tracks have their own audio people. This weekend in Seattle, track has their own audio person on top of that, which literally turns into dueling wars sometimes because somebody from our end will call somebody from our end and say, hey, we need to bring this up. And then the audio person doesn't think so because that's not how they do things at their events, but it's not their event. It's our
Yes. Unless we set up our
the definition of don't shoot the messenger, like Jason Logan's not even the messenger. He's the messenger's unpaid intern.
Yes, exactly. And if you're in venue, you're having a good time mostly.
Right.
Everyone in Denver. I mean, by the way, I had
Denver was lit.
Denver,
you had a moment when
on Sunday, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
I think we all did.
It was. Yeah, by far. I mean, and I posted on Facebook, I don't get emotional in any of these races or, whatever. And I mean, there'll be a huge run and I'll be like, holy cow, that was actually pretty cool. But that's the extent of it, man. I definitely got a little emotional on Sunday, but yeah, for the whole weekend, it was packed. Right. I mean, there were people everywhere and everyone was happy. Everyone was, they knew this was the last one. They were just happy to be there. And it was such a great event. I mean, that comes from me, and but it was just amazing the whole way around. How did you feel about it, Jason?
I think Denver this year was the single greatest drag racing event I've ever been to.
I agree.
and I'm not sure how that gets topped. Like, I mean, from the crowds to the energy of the people who worked there, the racers, like you could just tell it meant more to them. And like, that's not the first time we've been to a track that you knew was closing, right?
Right.
I mean, Houston, right? And I didn't go to Houston, but I didn't get the sense, even with Erica Enns and Mike Holcomb, like Houston natives winning there. Like I didn't quite get that sense of like emotion watching that event last year. Atlanta, you know, Phoenix this year, although breaking news, don't quit on Phoenix fans. But you know, man, I don't know, like doing I'm sure Joe's bummed by this because I know Joe loves the Parade of Champions. Doing the Parade of Champions like gave me chills at that event.
Yeah, you did good with those. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, literally gave me chills. As a sportsman racer, very part-time and very mediocre at that, but as a sportsman racer, to sit there and I mean the entire weekend, the place was full for sportsman cars. And I just thought that was the coolest thing and the greatest show of respect to the people who, because at Denver specifically, probably more so than any race on the tour, I feel like Denver has the highest amount of like local racers. And I think part of that is it's kind of so isolated, right? Like we call it the Western Swing, but it's a 2 hour and 20-minute flight for me from LA. So how west is it? Like it's just, I can get to Dallas in the same amount of time and I can get to Minneapolis in 20 more minutes, right? Like different flight paths, sure. And like the mileage is different, but like it's not really west, right? It's just west of the Mississippi. But it's elevated. Like you gotta set your cars up different. Most of the people who race there have cars built to race in those conditions. And we had so many people from that area, from up on the mountain, who won that event. And some of top sportsmen and top dragster. I mean, like Bree Burge grew up at that track, like with her dad, and her first win of any kind in a drag racing car is in Top Sportsman at the Final Mile High Nats. Josh Herman married Bree Bandemir, married Sporty's daughter, and then broke the car Q1 Friday, and like thought he was done. Like my last national event at my, wife's family's track, like we're done. And Peeps Pennington, who's his brother-in-law, who's married to Sporty's other daughter, hands him the Pennington brothers' other car and says, "Here, like go qualify it." And he got 2 qualifying runs in the thing, and then won the damn event.
Right.
Like, and I got to tell you, I was on the top end for that, and I made reference to it. I should have sent you that picture. I made reference to it. In the Parade of Champions, but Sporty was down there on the top end to greet the winners. And I have never I have been on the top end of the US Nationals and the World Finals when Nitro racers have won that race for the first time or won a championship for the first time. And I've never in my life seen the pure, like, emotion, I think relief, elation, like combination of these emotions literally just crash and explode as I did when Josh Herman turned off the track. I mean, there are deaf people in the world who could have heard Josh Herman. He was screaming so loud. And I mean, through his helmet over the race car, and Sporty couldn't get to the car quick enough. And Sporty's literally got like waterworks strolling out of his eyes, like, big, like he's not a big guy, right? But like tough racetrack owner. Like I drive a jet car. Like he's like the nicest guy in the world, right? The whole family is. But like jet car driver, Sporty Bandemir, is like just like literally waterworks. And then like Josh couldn't get his helmet off and was like shaking so much he couldn't get his gloves off. And they embraced like with Josh in the car for what felt like 20 minutes. And it probably wasn't that long in reality, but it was that was one of those like genuine moments where I was like, damn, like. I'm really glad I'm here to see this. And also, for the few people, and I don't think there's many people out there, but for the few people who are out there who think that, the Bandemir family's holdout or that doesn't mean anything to them anymore. Like if you would have seen that moment, you would have got it. You would have got what that mountain means to that family.
Yeah, and you could tell. I mean, that was the whole vibe the entire weekend. I mean, this weekend just meant more. Yes, it's the last one, but I mean, every time we go there, it's an amazing event, anyways. But it just meant more, and the fact that those guys, that family, won the race, like you said, and it just meant more. And every time Bandemir Jr. got up there and started talking on the microphone, he couldn't hold it together. I mean, you could just tell. And for anybody who thinks they sold out, you know what? Good for them. They've been doing it for as long as they've done it.
Seriously,
don't hate on people.
Right. First off,
yeah.
Did you not like look? So that's only the second time I've been to that track, right? I went last year, and it meant a lot to me because and I had no idea they were close to selling, or it was even a thought until I showed up at the track last year for the first time, and I rolled in and looked at houses around and went, "Wow,
yeah,
this place probably doesn't have very long left, right?" And then I think Tammy Bandemir, for those who don't know, Tammy Bandemir went out of her way to reach out to everybody in the sport personally before that became a public thing, because her and her brother and her mom and dad didn't want us to find out by reading the press release.
Right.
And so Tammy let us all know in Vegas or right after this year. And I think, did you have the same reaction I did when you drove into the track on Friday morning for the first time and saw where that newest tract of houses were and thought,
it's way too close. Yeah,
I get it.
And by the way, they're going to build more right up to the highway. I mean, it's going right smack against it.
And like they were not forced to sell, they were not pushed out, but also, John Bandemir Sr. bought that place 65 plus years ago for God knows how little money in
I heard
relative comparison.
Yeah, $11,000 or something like that.
Right. Okay. If you're a business owner and a family man, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a more tight-knit family than the Bandemir family, honestly. Like that's like American dream, type of family shit there. If you own that property and you're looking across the freeway and you're in the spot you're in now where property values are through the roof, even with interest rates up, and it hasn't crashed yet if it's going to, and all that other stuff. And then you look at the houses and like, okay, sure. They haven't started knocking on your door yet saying, hey, we don't want you here anymore.
Right.
But it's coming because you see in the movie. The movie ends the same every time.
Right.
There is no situation where the people who buy the houses across the street go, we love you guys. Yes, jet cars at 11 p.m. on a Friday. Yeah. Right. Like, guys, let's be real here. So like they had a chance to cash out and they did. And it's not going to be houses. Like it got, I don't know if it's like public who it got bought by. I know that John Bandemir Jr. put it out there that it's going to be an automotive related deal. I got news for the people who own the houses. It's not going to be like a big, nice, beautiful dealership.
No,
I actually think the people, if there's anybody who lives around that track who's like, oh, thank God the track's going away, when they see what's going to go, they're going to be like, God damn, I missed the racetrack. Exactly. But that's a whole nother story, right? But like, good for them. Like they had an opportunity to get out while they could, because you know what happens? Pick a number, right? And look, I know what the number is, but again, I know it's a public deal, right? So let's just pick a stupid, very low number. Let's call it $1 million.
Right.
Newsflash, they sold it for more than $1 million. Okay. So let's call it $1 million. If it's worth $1 million right now, okay, do you know what it's worth when the county knocks on the door and says, hey, 2 more years and you're out of here?
Yeah.
500, like 400,000, right?
Exactly.
Like the second that somebody knocks on your door and says, you need to be selling, and then eventually if you try to stand up to that, it turns into you must sell. Like you lose all your leverage. So good for the Bandemir family. Seriously, if you have a chance to make your family generationally rich,
right,
and take care of your, I mean, you stood on the starting line with me in post race there. They got great grandkids. Like if you're John Jr. and Lorraine, and you're looking at your great grandkids and your grandkids and your kids, how do you say no to the opportunity to make sure that 8-month-old babies are going to be taken care of when they're 50? Right. You can't.
Yeah, you can't. And the fact that they keep talking about they're going to find a place to go and they're going to build another track, great, awesome. It won't have the same charm as this place,
right.
But if you're in the,
and by the way, if that doesn't work out, great and awesome.
Yeah.
Like they gave us 65 years of their lives.
Right.
In my opinion, that is plenty. And it's on us as a sport. If us as a sport with all these insanely rich people that own race teams, and I'm not calling out the what would be you and I rich, but barely straight by with the full car people, right? There are some insanely rich people in our sport, and we're not the only sport with those people, right? If our sport cannot figure out a way to build more facilities or upgrade more facilities to make them national event friendly, shame on us.
Yeah.
That's our problem. That's not the Bandemir family's problem. Or, I mean, look, we lost Atco yesterday, and that came out of left field, and I thought that was kind of a shitty way that happened. But also, okay, like, the place has been for sale for a while, and they got an offer, and, like, that's their prerogative. It's on us as a sport to figure this out. It's not on anybody else. The people who own the facilities don't owe us anything. They really don't. This sport is 75, 80 years old. If we can't figure this out, that's an us problem. And shame on us for not figuring it out. And I could tell you right now, I know that the folks at the NHRA are concerned and well aware of it and working feverishly to find us other facilities and to work with people. But it's a two-way street. I mean, anybody who thinks that the NHRA is going to look at this and be like, hey, we're going to go build 4 more racetracks and make up these tracks we're losing and, be out $300 million.
No.
What? Like, what type of business model is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay. Like, we'll do that. And then you can't bitch when a ticket for Friday night qualifying is $300. Like, come on.
Right. It'd be like the NFL saying, oh, okay, well, we're just going to start building stadiums.
Right. Yeah.
That's
we got no owners and teams, but we're just going to go build stadiums and hope that they fund themselves. Get out of here. So, look, the Bandemir fam, I'm optimistic. I think you've heard the same stories. There are multiple plots of land that are potentially available and multiple high-ranking people and public officials that are interested in having a racetrack in their county. I think this weekend, I said this a couple times to people this weekend, I think this weekend could not have gone any better for the prospects of building another facility, because I think there's 2 things you got to think about. One, like, yes, the Bandemir family got a lot of money. They're not going to spend all of that money to build a new racetrack. That's stupid. No. Okay. So you need to find a plot of land with a county and elected officials who are going to work with you. They're going to give you the tax breaks. They're going to give you the public money, and they're going to all that, whatever you need to build that because of the economic value it brings to that area.
Sure.
But 2, you need proof of concept. And I know that track historically has always done really well, and we've sold out dates and whatever. But if this weekend wasn't the ultimate proof of concept for the life of drag racing in the Denver area, Taylor Swift had 2 concerts with 100,000 people at each of them sold out at the football stadium. And the New York damn Yankees were in town playing the Rockies, which were, I assure you, the 3 highest attended games of the Rockies season in probably the last decade, because that team's been awful for a decade.
Yeah.
And we still did what we did to that place and
sold out
oversold. Yeah, we didn't even offer, like, on Friday, we were like, hey, if you don't have tickets for Saturday and Sunday, don't get in the car.
Right.
What? Like, and if you don't think that they oversold capacity, like, I'm not telling you I know that for a fact, but I know if I owned the place, I would have oversold capacity, So, come on.
Yeah.
I would have sold until I got to the point where I was like, all right, this is unsafely bad, right? Like, I don't know if they actually did that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. And there were a gazillion people there. So, I think that was the best hope for the future of drag racing in Denver. And what the Bandemir family could do is, like, look at this weekend, look what it brought to, and credit to the Bandemir family, and credit to our media relations team, which Allie and Nikki rocked that entire weekend without Josh Hatchett there. Like, their boss was not there, rocked that weekend, rocked the week leading up. And, like, again, on a weekend with the New York Yankees in town and Taylor Swift in town, there was stuff on every TV station. The Denver Post was all over it. We don't get that in every city we go to.
No.
And sure, it being the last race national event had something to do with it, but it didn't have everything to do with it. Like, they didn't need to be there on Saturday. What the hell does Saturday have to do with it? But they were all there. So credit to them, work that they did. to make that event have the push. I mean, my Facebook feed all weekend, Denver Post, and I don't even follow it because all the NHRA stuff, right? It tracks you around the internet, but it was like story after story after story. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Like we don't get that at other tracks.
No.
What other track do we get that at?
Yeah, no, never. And yeah, they do.
Indy is the one other track we get that at because it's Indianapolis and the Star and Wish and the stations up there all know that like, okay, like there's the 500 in the U.S. Nationals. They're like our grand poobah events for the year. So, but yeah.
Yeah, it was good. And talking about Taylor Swift, I mean, I don't know about your flight, but my flight, there was probably 150 people coming from Charlotte, North Carolina to Denver. They were all between the ages of 30 and 15 women that were tattooed with 13s. I mean, they were wearing Taylor Swift.
Right.
And there was an older couple sitting in front of me and sitting next to me, and they were going to the Yankee game. So they were talking, and every time a young girl would pass by, Taylor Swift, and she's like, "Oh my God, yeah!" And then Taylor Swift. Everybody's Taylor Swift, and I'm like, and usually that Charlotte flight, I've got drag racers on that flight. I mean, everybody in Charlotte's going, and I was in a normal time slot, like it was 10 o'clock in the morning, and some guy goes, "Oh, I'm going to the Yankee game," and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to the Yankee game too." And I see a guy with a shirt that says Mopar Madness on it, and I go, "Drag racing?" And he goes, "Yeah," and we both high five, and they're like, "What?" And all the Taylor Swift, "What's drag racing?" It was so great. I had one other drag racer on the plane with me, and but yeah, no, that was the Taylor Swift, and then she's going to be in Seattle this weekend, and then
she really? I didn't even look at that.
Francisco the next weekend, so she's following NHRA. Yeah, she's got her whole thing going on, but yeah, so like let's look at some more stuff. Like this is what it looked like on Friday night. A little drag racing under the. I mean, and again, both days were longer days, and we raced at night because that we did the whole thing. But here's the track walk. Definitely the second.
No. This is post. This is post. That's why it's because I thought it was so wild, right? Like, yes, the track walk was insane. This is post race. Like, I went to go get my car and drive up to the top end of the TV compound and return my stuff, and turned around and looked at the track, and like somewhere in there is Alan Reinhart in a stage,
right?
And I was like, "Holy cow! Like that is wild." I've never seen so many people.
Can we talk about Alan's voice? Because Joe was doing TV, you and him had to carry the load, and his allergies kicked in.
Oh yeah.
At Winter Circle, I'm like, "Alan, stop talking to Matt Hagan. Just give him his trophy and let's go." Your voice is, I go, "You're gonna die up there on stage." But yeah, you guys
got the short end of the stick on Sunday, especially too, because I go long to do top end.
Yeah,
and there's no easy way at Denver to go back and forth.
No.
And so it would take me legitimately 20 minutes after we'd run a session to get back. After round 1, 20 minutes, and you're back in round 2. It's like I literally came back. I called like 2 pairs of cars and went back again. I was like, all right.
Oh, I felt so bad for Alex.
Sorry, yeah, no,
he was shot. Yeah. I mean,
he won't get that this weekend.
No, and it reminded me of during the pandemic when you guys were all sitting in Indianapolis for 6 weeks, and you could just tell because it was, I'm sure you were involved, but it was you, Joe, and Alan, and that was it. There was no other breaks. That you guys talked the entire time, but yeah, no, that was so my moment was at. I don't know why I had to. Some guy goes, "Hey man, you got to play closing time," and I'm like, "Really, low hanging fruit? Okay, guy, we'll play that." But I needed another song to go into that because I was just like, "All right, we're not going to do that." And I've got like 2 minutes, and I'm like, what am I going to play? What am I going to play? I just like, I go, there's got to be a sad song that just people, that it'll make people in retrospect, think back, look back, and, have a moment. And I played Hey Jude as soon as Alan or John Vandermeer said something. And then Alan said goodbye. And I played Hey Jude. And man, people all around me just started bawling. They were like crying. And I'm like, oh, look at me go. I picked the perfect song. And apparently John Vandermeer said that was perfect. So I was like, good. All right. And then I played closing time after that. But yeah, it was, man, I literally, and Courtney Enders was up on the up by the tree, and she was crying. I mean, it meant a lot to it. I mean, literally, I teared up during when John Vandermeer was talking before the flyover, during pre-race. I was like, and I just sat back and took it in that day on pre-race. I was like, this is the last time we're going to be here, and I go, just. I mean, that was the first track I ever went to in 1995, and so it
was Reinhardt's first. It was Reinhardt's tryout track. Like Reinhardt had done some stuff at Phoenix. It was his home track, but that was his first. Like, hey, come out here and actually give this a shot. Yeah,
and all the fans were amazing. I mean, this guy. Here's one of Joe.
I love it. I love it.
I was like, look at this guy. I go, that's a great shirt. I was like, I go, I got to get you in there, man. But, it was just, I mean, people were just milling around and no one wanted to leave. It was just an amazing scene out there. And, here's, John Vandermeer speaking, Joe Maynard right behind him. And,
that was Friday. This was Friday when John went to do the invocation for the Mission Foods Challenge, and before that, they did a deal for Kathy Maynard, and every crew member on all three Maynard teams, that Tony Schumacher, Justin Ashley, Tim Wilkerson, came down. This moment to me was incredibly touching, and not something that the Vandermeers need. I mean, we knew Kathy passed away when we were in Norwalk, so technically we'd had a race and we had a moment there, but Joe wasn't there. It's Joe's first race back. And John had so much going on this weekend that he didn't need to do that.
Right.
But again, we talk about the Vandermeer family and their sense of family and how much it means to them. And I mean, John Jr. literally, this is what we're doing. We're going to take a moment for Kathy Maynard. Okay. I thought it was awesome. It was awesome.
It was so, I mean, everything that, I mean, and, and during pre-race, and you and Joe and I've talked about this, and you guys watch NASCAR events. You guys we all watch Formula One. We watch all these other racing events. Like our pre-race is pretty tight. We've got it down. Yes. And I think our pre-race this weekend was fantastic. Going into it, we had a flyover, we had all this other stuff, and we were right down the middle. We were on the timing was great. Evan didn't say a word during it. I go, dude, you're right on the number. He goes, yeah, you haven't heard me say anything, have you? I go, no. I go, we're killing it right now. And when John Vandermeer Jr. started talking, and he just had an extended. He went too long. And which made the flyover happen
early,
the anthem. And I was just like, as soon as I heard him go past a minute, I was like, well, you just missed your flyover, and your flyover is going to come in hot. I mean, they can't just turn around and. I mean, I guess they could, but it would take even longer. And so it was like I kind of smiled and chuckled to myself, and I was like, oh well, whatever. It's his track. He can do whatever he wants. And but it was that flyover came over halfway through. But yeah, I mean, we were all on point. I mean, I think it just from the beginning to the middle to the end, I go the whole weekend was perfect. And it was great. I mean, this is this might be the greatest picture of the entire weekend. You just completely and totally shocked. Was that it? It was TJ's double O right off. Was that what you were
No. That was Brittany Force going 3:37.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. I mean, your face.
The track record, for those of you who missed that, the track record was 3:30. Steve Torrence had the track record at 3:30. Brittany Force went 3:37 in altitude in Denver. And by the way, put the picture back up. I had some people that are like, Alan Reinhardt doesn't look very impressed there. I'm like, no. Alan's looking the other direction. Notice Alan doesn't have a microphone in front of his face. Okay. Yeah. Alan always has a microphone in front of it. He's ready to talk at a moment's notice when there's race cars on the track or going through the shutdown or whatever. And I mean, he and I both sat there. I'm staring up at the list of track records on the wall, looking at Steve Torrance's speed, realizing what Brittany just ran and the 7 mile an hour gap. And Alan is staring at the incrementals up here. Seriously, like in Denver, you went 337. Like,
and it was the heat of the day too. It was
it's not like everybody else was hauling ass.
No,
like far from it.
280s, maybe creeping into the 300s, and all the
a couple cars run 315. Like, oh yeah, no, there was 337. That is the second most impressive run I have ever seen a Top Fuel dragster make in my life. And number one is Tony Schumacher sliding into a 100s window to win a world championship, like the greatest run in drag racing history, right? That I really believe on a strictly performance standpoint, that is the second most impressive run I've ever seen a Top Fuel dragster make. Myself personally, in person. And I was in the stands when Tony Schumacher made the run and won the world finals and defeated Doug Coletta and cost him his championship and all that. Like I was sitting in the grandstands at the finish line when that happened. And that's one of the greatest moments in auto racing history in my mind. But like that run right there, that's beyond insane to me. And like I know she lost first round the next day, and they kind of struggled a little bit on race day. But man, that run right there makes you think, okay, like it's not like Grubby's that far off from where they were last year. You know, I know they're trying some stuff and trying to find some consistency, but man, you run 337 on the mountain. I mean,
he's good for a home run every once in a while, and like a monster shot home run.
That was a monster shot. That was, I thought Robert Heights, what was it, 83 or whatever, 82 that he ran in Chicago on Friday night when literally nobody else could get down the track.
Right.
I thought that was the most impressive run of the year by a nitro car. And then David Grubnick was literally like holding my beer times 10.
Right.
Like until somebody runs 330 to the 8th mile, that like, and I still think that's going to happen towards the end of this year. But until that happens, there ain't another run on the planet that's going to beat that one.
Well, Brittany and Grubby are going to be the ones that do it. I mean, they're out there.
Wow, shocking proclamation by you.
Well, I know, but it's you're just waiting for those guys to do it, and it looks like that's what they're trying to do.
By the way, honestly, whatever that run was right there, like had the car made the same exact run at sea level at Sonoma on Friday night or something, that would have been the run. That's how good that run was.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the car was running at the 8th. But if it was 337 at 1,000 feet in Denver, I mean, if you take the same thing and plug it in and it sticks, and believe me, I'm not stupid. And there's a million other factors that go in, but like in a hypothetical world where you just take that car and go plop and put it in Sonoma at level on Friday night under the lights, that car's running 340. And it's going 300 at the 8th.
Yeah, when it's 50 degrees and it's awesome.
Yeah, and the wind's blowing.
Yeah. Everybody was cutting amazing lights, man. I mean, it was absolutely every time Alan would say,
one of my favorite phase.
Yeah, trip 0, 005.
TJ, get a perfect light.
It's like, I mean, it was like, I mean, everybody showed up. I mean, it was like, it was just perfect racing to me. And I mean, people were just putting numbers up on the board on Sunday. And I'm like, how are they? I mean, these guys, it was like everybody got focused, and it was like, hey, we want to win this one. We are going to win this race.
I never looked, and I'm pulling it up now. I'm curious what TJ's final round reaction time was, because he might have had the most impressive day driving of any driver in the sport this year. Certainly in Pro Stock, I think. And if I'm missing one, somebody feel free to hit me up when they watch or listen to this and tell me. But Pro Stock, here we go. E4 Pro Stock.
As you're looking that up, I was on Courtney Ender's her Ride on Track podcast last week.
Right.
And she goes, who do you think's going to win? And I said, I think TJ might win. I go, I want to pick your sister, and maybe I'll pick your sister just because. But I think TJ's got a great shot. I picked Matt Hagan. I picked Justin Ashley, but he obviously didn't make it all the way through for me. But yeah, TJ, he just comes out and just does his business, man.
Okay, Troy Coughlin Jr.'s reaction times: 0:15 in the final, 0:11 in the semis, 018 round 2. Round number 1, he was stand by, loading. There we go. Round number 1, he was 012. He had 4 runs in a row between 011 and 018. That's like spring fling million bracket racing shit right there.
Right.
In a pro stock car.
Yeah.
And the round before that would have been the final in Mission Foods where he was perfect. So he had 5 runs in a row where he went between perfect and 018.
Come on. Yeah. Silly. That's just silly.
No, I guarantee you, I would be willing to bet a lot of money that nobody in pro stock has had a 5 consecutive elimination round run like that this year. And it's probably been a hell of a long time since anybody did it. Beyond impressive.
Yeah.
Beyond impressive weekend.
Yeah. He was all dialed in, man. And everybody was. It was great. And it was good to see. By the way, this is the most we've talked drag racing on this program ever. Love it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's all right. But that's okay.
Hey, can we talk about my favorite breakfast on the tour?
Yeah, let's go. I got pictures of it. I'm going to show you my breakfast. Look at that thing.
Oh, look at this. God. At the Cow. It's in Morrison, right next to Red Rocks. It's 3 minutes from the track. That's the Spotted Cow. It is literally the best breakfast on the tour. There's not even a second place. If you're out there and you watch or listen to this and you think there's a place better, I am open to ideas because I'm on a weight loss deal that I don't eat breakfast, but I made a exemption here 2 days in a row because it's literally my favorite breakfast on the tour. And I love a good breakfast. So it's the Spotted Cow. So it's hash browns, 2 sausage patties that they make in house, scrambled eggs, cheese, and then half of it is like traditional breakfast gravy. That's the white part, and the brown part is their hatch chili sauce.
Oh, that looks so freaking good,
dude. It is off the hook.
I haven't eaten today, so that right now is going. I'm like, that is amazing. This is my.
I haven't eaten either.
I know this is my breakfast that I had on Thursday as I flew out. Breakfast of Champions at the Admirals Club. Look how horrible that is.
Hey, dude, how many times do I have to tell you the Admirals Club sucks? It is a ripoff.
Listen, man, I just renewed in Dallas and I was torn. I was like, man, I don't know if I need to renew. I don't know. It's becoming not worth it. So this bagel, I couldn't get it toasted. The stupid toaster didn't toast very well. The Bloody Mary was like the only good thing, but it was like, okay. And this is in Orlando. But, I'm like, okay, great. This is going to be what I have for breakfast to hold me over till I get to Denver. And by the way, the Denver Admirals Club, so they put all the Sky Clubs in one section
all
the
airport
terminal.
Clubs, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm on the C terminal. I'm like, where's the Admirals Club? I went up to where they normally would be, and no, I had to go eat some quesadilla. I spent $40 on a quesadilla and 3 beers at some bar, and the Denver airport's packed on Monday. I was like, what? I was so disappointed, very disappointed in my
Denver airport was out of control packed. Yes. I don't know what time you got there. I got to the airport about 11:15, the 12:30 flight, and it was crazy busy. And I went to the Sky Club. I was disappointed because I think that's the busiest airport in the country now. I think it passed Atlanta. If not, it's right there. For being such a busy airport, the clubs are like my office, dude. Like I walked in and Daniel, Maynard Racing Daniel,
right?
He's not PR anymore. Handler, I guess we'll call him. I gotta ask him what his official title is.
By the way, he wants to shoot the t-shirt cannon really bad.
He does. Yeah, but he was in the Sky Club, and I mean, like, and I were talking. It's like, man, this is kind of a letdown from what and the Sky Club's still nice, by the way. I walked in and got a very nice lunch. I've never had bad food in the Sky Club, any Sky Club anywhere in the country. It's always like real food, which I've been now in 2 Admirals Clubs with you guys this year that I'd never been in before. And like, you guys don't even get real food in there. That's why I'm like, you get ripped off.
It's cheese and crackers and soup.
Yeah.
I mean, we might get lucky to get some avocado toast.
Yeah, meatballs in a crock pot. Yeah. Dude, I got like grilled chicken with like sauteed peppers and baked potato soup, and there was rice and veggies, and it was delicious. And it was a very nice, brunch for me. Late morning lunch.
The Admirals
Very
Club
nice.
is,
by the way, the Denver Sky Club self-serve bar. Have you ever seen one of those in an Admirals Club or Sky Club? Because I haven't. I walked in, no people working. I walked in, and literally there's like 12 different brands of, there's like 2 different brands for each type of alcohol, basically,
right,
sitting on counters with the tops in them. And like underneath it was a fridge with mixers, and then next to it was a fridge with all the different beers they had and seltzers and stuff. And it was like, make your own drink. And I was like, wow, that is ballsy.
I wonder if I could transfer miles to like Delta and do that. I wonder if I can make that happen.
Call him. Yeah, dude. I literally walked in. And I was like, "Whoa, that's ballsy."
That is ballsy. Well, I know going to Seattle, the Admirals Club. There's no Admirals Club there, but there is the Alaska Airlines Club, and there's one that is really nice. Last year in Seattle, I went to that one, and it's like, we don't accept tips. We don't do anything, and they have like actual food. And I'm like, oh, this place is way nicer than the Admirals Club. I was like, okay, thank God I can go to this place. But yeah, man, it's very disappointing. And I renewed because I was like, I probably just need to do it just in case. But yeah, no, I mean, look at this. But they have, listen, they have scrambled eggs, but they're powdered. It's disgusting. Breakfast is a little better than the lunchtime stuff. But like in the Denver one, I was waiting for my flight. My flight got delayed. Oh no, this was DFW in Dallas. I had a 3-hour layover. Kept getting delayed. I didn't get home till like 2 a.m.
I heard that.
That was terrible. That was just not cool. But I sat in the Animals Club. And I just started drinking, and I was bumped up to first class. And I was like, well, this would have been fun to, kind of have a couple cocktails on the plane. And then I went right to bed. I just fell right to sleep. And I was like, this is like not even worth it. But yeah, these are the joys of travel. And of course, I've got 7.5 hours of flight time tomorrow, which will be awesome. Going to Seattle from Orlando, Florida. That gets this is the longest trip of the whole year for me.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that. One end of the country to the other, literally across.
But Joe Costello and I will be.
That's me in Boston, by the way.
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. You in Boston's freaking too much. But Joe and I are staying out between Seattle and Sonoma. So we'll be. We're going to have to figure this show out, Jason Galvin, because.
Dude, we'll have to have a Joe Costello cameo next week on a road trip.
We may have to do this via like in a hotel room.
I think that's great.
You and I, or maybe we find the bar or something, and we just go down and we do this.
Do you guys have full plans? Let's talk about it next week. But I'm curious what your full plans are. We'll have to talk about that tomorrow, you and I.
Yeah, we there was some talk in Denver about what we're gonna do, and we were like, oh, we go to Mount Rainier, we can do all kinds of crazy stuff. And then Joe goes, or we could just sit in the hotel room and do nothing. We can do that too. But in Sonoma, we get into San Francisco on Wednesday, so we're gonna hang out on Wednesday, tour the city a little bit, and then we're gonna go drink wine on Thursday. Apparently, there's a big group of people going to drink wine, which I've never done in Sonoma. I'm kind of excited.
Really? It's too late for me to get in on this invite on Thursday?
Yeah. I mean, listen, what time are you getting in?
Stand by.
Because
I want to say I'm in at I want to say I'm into Sacramento at like 8:30 or 9, like very early. Like I'll be in Napa by 10:30.
Oh yeah, you should probably be involved with us then, because
let me double check.
Yeah, I had to invite myself because Allie McCormick, she has planned this whole like wine tasting thing, and then people are going to make wine, and she's got this whole thing going on,
right?
And but Joe Costello, he's like, yeah, well, I'll see if I can get you in. I'll see what it's. I'm like, dude, I know you got invited, but I know it's a thing open for everybody. So I saw her this weekend. I go, hey, Allie, can I come drink wine with you in Sonoma? And she goes, yeah, everyone's invited. Whatever, who cares? I don't care. And I go, oh yeah, well, I go, Joe Costello's acted like he's, it's on lockdown and he's, I go, Joe's just trying to hoard, make sure he's.
I will reach out to Allie. Yes, I land at 8:35 a.m. in Sacramento. I will be in Napa by 11 at the latest.
I think this is like in the afternoon. So yeah, we'll go get wine.
Cool.
Because that's really what this trip's all about. But I'm bringing a jacket because Friday night in Sonoma is freezing.
Yeah.
Which it blows my mind ever. I'm like, that is the craziest thing ever. How cold it gets out there. But yeah, man, I'm excited for this weekend. I just wish I could teleport my way out to Seattle because this flight is going to suck. And by the way, let's talk about this thing because I'm a little upset. Whoa, did I put it in here?
Oh no. Yes. What'd you mess up? What are you upset about?
The lady in your row on this plane.
Oh God, yes, I sent it to you. Oh, if you have it,
hold on, please. I gotta find it. Hold on,
please. I think I'm gonna get a first class upgrade tomorrow too, and if this stuff happens to me, I'll punch somebody.
Yeah, but you can talk about it while I find this picture. Where is
okay, so I'm in the first, so Delta first class, and then Comfort Plus, which is like a poor man's first class, right? And I get upgraded to Comfort Plus. Literally, I don't think anybody flies Delta as much as I do. Right? It's like an auto deal. So I'm in the aisle seat, first row. Lady in the middle seat is this like little French lady, and her daughter's and when I say daughter, I mean her daughter's probably like 20, is on the window. This woman on Monday afternoon, literally flying home, takes her shoes off, which is like the first disgusting thing to me. Like she's got socks on,
right?
Like takes her shoes off. And then because we're in the front row of Comfort Plus, the two seats in front of us are both first class seats. And so big seats, right? Instead of having three with one seat right in front of us, the middle seat ends up with a gap in between them because that's where the armrest, big center area is for first class. And this woman, do you have it?
No, I can't.
Oh, J-Lo.
I told you.
This woman literally sticks her feet, socks only, up onto the armrest in front of her that like two people have their arms on. I'm like, what in? Dude, come on.
It's not appropriate. Not appropriate at all.
And on what planet is that appropriate behavior or etiquette? Let me stick my feet onto your armrest in front of you. Like, by the way, a bunch of like really stupid ornery people on that flight. Some lady behind us got mad because it was a baggage optimized flight. And so like they didn't gate check any bag.
Right.
Unless it was too big. And so they're making people take backpacks and like tote bags. Like, so like I put my backpack usually in the overhead because I bring my laptop that I'm on right now. And I have a 22-inch MacBook Pro. Like my backpack legitimately does not fit underneath. And then the flight attendants walk by, like I'll put it down there, but then inevitably the flight attendants walk by and go, you got to put it under, it won't go anymore. You got to put it under, it won't go anymore. Okay, then we got to put it up top. So I just tell them that I'm like, look, if you want to come look, I got no problem. I'm not trying to be that guy. I don't bring a carry-on. I check my bag. And so here is my carry-on essentially. But this literally won't go under the seat unless you want me to hold my laptop, which is also against your rules. So what are our options? And they're like, whatever, just put it up top, right? But like this woman behind me wanted to put her like purse, like it was literally this big, right? Like,
yeah.
Shout out to my drink card buddies. In the overhead. And they were like, no. And she's like, you need to put it under your seat. She's like, what did I pay the extra money for Comfort Plus for then? And the flight attendant literally turned around and goes, nowhere on the reservation does it say that you're paying for overhead bin space.
Right.
I was like, man, we got some ornery dumb people.
I don't know why that picture won't come up, but it won't load in. I don't know why it didn't load in.
Well,
but yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And by the way, I don't like when people like men wear flip flops on planes. I don't need to see your hairy toes. No,
oh, I'm sorry.
Put shoes on.
I'm definitely guilty. I'm definitely guilty of that. But I get manicured I get pedicures. I get weekly pedicure. Not weekly.
Well, that's good. I mean, your feet are nice. We're gonna check them out this weekend.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'll look at them. But yeah, no, people just they lose their minds.
Next week on Life's a Drag, Jason Galvin's feet.
People lose their minds on airplanes. It's like, and my trip from Denver to Dallas, everyone was chatty. Everyone was making friends. I sit down. I don't talk to nobody. And I mean, the guy next to me, he sat down and he was so obnoxious at the boarding area. Too busy trying to oh, I'm group 7. What are you? I'm like, shut up. Just wait. No one cares. And of course, he had to sit next to me, and there was a very attractive woman sitting in the window because I sit on the aisle. And these two hit it off. I think he got her number. I was like, dude, all right, that good for you. But they were like, I mean, she's all flirty talk. I'm like, dude, good. That's awesome. But I don't really care about your conversation. I had my headphones on. I was watching a movie. I was like, dude, I got it. But everyone was talking. Everyone was just chit-chatting. Oh, my God, it's so great. How was your weekend? Where are you from? Where are you going to? I'm like, shut up. Quiet. Silence. I get cranky on planes. I just don't want to talk to people. I put
my earphones in and watch movies. Yeah,
that's what I do.
By the way, another great thing about Delta, for those of you American lovers out there, TVs in the back of every seat on every plane.
Yeah, every once in a while, I'll find it.
Except for like the ancient planes, but like those are pretty much like puddle jumpers. Like that was my Charlotte to Dayton, which we didn't even get to my hellacious trip last Tuesday to go to Columbus for the JAG Sports Nationals. I don't want to. It's why I don't fly American. Believe them.
Yeah.
they turned my travel day into a 21-hour travel day, and it was their fault. I missed a 3-hour and 35-minute layover somehow. And their offer to me to make up for then having to fly me to Dayton, Ohio, where I then had to drive 2 hours in the middle of the night, was a $12 food voucher to use in the airport.
Nope.
$12.
I would have gotten 15,000 miles. That would have been that's a starting point on something like that. I will say this
on American.
I know. I will say that when things go wrong on American, I just call and I'm like, "Hey, man, this is what."
I asked her to give me an Admirals Club pass for the day instead because I hadn't then had 3 hours to sit there. She's like, "Oh no, I can't do that."
Why can't I give you a $55 voucher? I mean, why would I do that?
Right. I was this close to saying that's fine. I'll just go buy one and then charge it back and blame it on you and her name. But then I was like, it's not her fault specifically, so it's not worth it.
Right.
But that's an airline. Especially the girl next to me was being obnoxious. She was going to Columbus too. I'm a professional sailboat racer and I have to be on the water at 8 a.m. tomorrow. And they were like, okay, well, we can get you there at noon. Or you can fly somewhere else and drive. I have to get a flight into Columbus tonight. They're like, we don't have any more. And it's 6 p.m. on the East Coast. So by the time we fly somewhere else, you're not getting on a plane to Columbus. Like Columbus does not take planes at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? Like, then I need and I have a first class ticket and I need a full refund for the entire trip there and back. She's like, I can give you a refund for the flight back, but you're going to lose your seat too. No, I was like, all right, give me my $12. I want to get out of here. Like,
yeah, whenever I have a problem on American, I call the whatever, the desk or whatever.
The bougie line, yes.
Yeah, and I call them up and I go, hey, I'm going to tell you a story, and I want you to tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right. I just here's the story, and I go, and if I'm wrong, fine. I won't be upset about this, but if I'm right, we're going to figure this out. And I've had a couple different incidents where I'm just like. And I just call him like, hey, so this is, here's the story. And am I right? Am I wrong? Should I be upset about this? What do you think? Like a therapist. And dude, I always get like 10,000 miles, 5,000 miles, 8,000 miles. So yeah, it's like, as long as you're nice to people, they will move mountains. This first class professional sailboat racer wasn't going anywhere with that type of attitude. You know what I'm saying? Just be nice.
Also, I was like, professional sailboat racers going to Columbus? Like, did I miss something here?
Kind of like Columbus Lake. I go, this.
Yeah, I'm like, if you're going to Cleveland, I get it. Like, there's a rather large lake up there. We call it a Great Lake. There's
people are freaking crazy.
Whatever.
They're crazy on planes. I love it.
Whatever.
Well, Jason, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We're gonna have fun in Seattle. We're going to 13 Coins at least.
Yes,
they owe us a good air-conditioned restaurant this time.
They do.
So I believe Hannah's going to go with us because she loves cheesecake at 13 Coins, and she didn't get to go last year because she wasn't working here. But yeah, and Hannah and I both decided, or I decided for Hannah that she and I are both going to become televangelists, which is going to be a whole nother story.
Oh, great!
Oh my God! Oh, by the way, Allie Bland, I watched the Way Down, the televangelist lady. She suggested to watch. Oh my God! That if you're into what I'm into, this is a good one. This is a really good one.
I'm not into that stuff, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It's so good. It's so good. So, anyways, all right. Well, that's it for us. Jason, any parting words you got for us? Anything exciting?
Good luck and Godspeed.
That's it. We're gonna be we're really getting the meat. Have you've been to the Seattle race before, right?
Yeah, last year when it was 600 degrees.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And that awesome tower. That tower is so tiny.
Yeah. Hey, did you look at the weather for this weekend?
It looks gorgeous.
It's like 78.
I know. I'm like, thank God.
Oh, in July? Oh, thank God. After last year when it was literally 100 degrees. Yeah.
I bet it's going to be 5 million the week after. It's going to be so hot there.
Early look ahead for Sonoma is like 86, which is not bad.
That's awesome. That's so great. Even Denver. Denver's weather was amazing. It was hot. It was warm, but it wasn't real. It was perfect.
Race car Jesus knew to take care of us.
Yep. It was good.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right, Jason Galvin, thank you so much. We will see you guys in Seattle and in Sonoma, drinking wine and talking about race cars. It's going to be awesome. Thank you guys very much. Have a fantastic